Why be easy when you can just die? Woo! Woo! I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, but more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to be taking a look at a figure that I got recently. Never mind, just kidding, like 5 months ago probably. And that is the ToyBiz 90s animated Spider-Man animated series, Chameleon. From the ToyBiz 90s... Fuck. Okay, here we go. Woo! I'm Chewy Mew, and welcome to my channel, more specifically, welcome to another Chewy Mew video, where today we're going to take a look at a figure that I got about 5 months ago. I just never reviewed it, because I had to yawn for 5 months straight. No, I'm kidding. I never reviewed it because, I don't know, I just never did. And that is the ToyBiz Spider-Man the 90s animated series, Chameleon here, with his interchangeable accessories here. And one thing I just noticed looking at it is, in the camera, his arms and legs look wildly different color than the chest. But in real life, they look a lot closer. That's weird. I think the camera is like a lot more saturated than real life, so everything looks a bit more vibrant, and it makes it more obvious. I can kind of tell, like if you look at the two legs here in the pelvis, you can see it. That's kind of weird. You know, it's not a big deal because this was like $6 and released like over 30 years ago. I think at this point it's like 30 years ago. When is he from? Take a look at the bottom of the foot here. This foot says made in China, and this one here says 1995 Marvel ToyBiz Incorporated. So yeah, this figure came out 28 years ago for like $7. If the arms and the colors don't match perfectly, that's fine. But when it comes to a $24 figure, like Hasbro Marvel Legends nowadays, and the colors don't match, then that's a problem. But here, that's not a problem because it was just meant to be a kid's toy. It wasn't meant to be some collector's item. I mean, you can collect anything, but this was not intended to be a collector's thing. There's probably a bunch of these the kids just threw away because they didn't care about them anymore. You know, that's unfortunately how it works. But as far as it goes, I think this thing looks pretty cool. Obviously he's not in scale with 6-inch figures, but he's also not intended for 6-inch figures. Do I even have any 6-inch figures here? I do. I got this guy here. You can see the comparison of these two. That's quite a big difference. It looks like a grown man standing next to like a kid. So the height is, or like a young teenager. You know, this is Chameleon when this is Chameleon for like his 12th birthday, and this is like 20-year-old Spider-Man. So, now the scale it's kind of weird. But if you have him like at some kind of angle, like you have Chameleon way over here, and then you got Spider-Man in some kind of like crouched pose, and you got him like over here. I wish this lens didn't have shallow depth of field, because then you would actually be able to see both characters not looking blurry. But if you have him some kind of... This guy doesn't have ankle pivot, and I'm being really sloppy here. But yeah, if you get him some kind of scenario like this, use like some kind of depth of field, like for pictures and stuff, you could totally get that to work. Or, if you have him like up close like this, it looks like you could probably make it work. Like if you put them on a shelf together side by side like this, it's not going to work. But you could definitely get it to look... You could get them to fit in, or if that kind of scale stuff isn't an issue, then that's fine as well. And this is probably the best. If you want a 90s Chameleon, this is definitely the best and only choice. If Hasbro makes one, it's probably going to be sloppy and lazy. They're probably going to use like the new red skull body with like the really baggy looking clothes. They might just add shoulder pads and stuff. It's going to be probably pretty lazy. This is, it is lazy, but like I said, it's like almost it's 28 years old and was for $7 for kids. So, who cares? But as far as the detail, it still has pretty good detail. There's the face. For some reason, the neck on this head doesn't go all the way down. Like, they didn't sculpt the neck or something. I don't really know. It's kind of weird. But the face looks pretty good. You can see the lines for it, but it looks pretty cool. You can see the ears, you can see the face. It's a pretty good looking face for a 5-inch figure. It's not on par with, like, later ToyBiz stuff, but it looks pretty good still. He's very ripped here. You can see how big and muscular his chest is here. The shoulder pads look cool. Everything here is just sculpted on. Nothing is like a separate piece, because that wasn't a thing companies did at the time. You can see his gun here, which looks pretty accurate to the show. People use laser beams instead of real guns, because, for reasons. There are some real guns in the show, in the 90s animated series, but that gun looks pretty cool. It's very rubbery and squishy, which is also pretty cool. As far as other details on this guy, the belt here looks pretty cool. It has like 2 like dots on the top. I think that's for the transformation. Like he's supposed to press it and he transforms. You got a yellow strap going all the way around the body. The red here, the paint on this is pretty good. All this plastic, I'm pretty sure, is all blue. So they had to paint everything on. And the red is very, very clean. Look how good that red looks. The lines up top are also not the cleanest in parts, but honestly, these could rival Hasbro when it comes to QC. When QC issues, Hasbro, this is definitely above par, or like on par with what Hasbro is doing nowadays at like almost 4 times the price. They used metal pins here, which is interesting. I don't know why. Maybe they were. I think the pins were less likely to break, because that's why the ToyBiz Spider-Man Classics Series 1 and 2 had pinless joints, but they stopped using them because the pins would break. So I guess in the 90s they used metal ones. They couldn't figure out plastic ones or something. I don't know. But the paint on this is really good. Like, you can see how clean the line work is on this if we zoom in ×3. The line work is pretty clean. There are some messy parts here, but this is also ×3 zoom. Some paint is chipping, but that's just age's fault, not the figure's fault. But for painting all of the stuff, all these parts, all of the body parts that are supposed to not be blue, they did really good at making them they did really good paint apps to this. As far as the heads, Mr. Jameson's head is probably the least good looking, just because he's the only only human looking head. Because Chameleon's head looks very animated, looks very much not like a human being. Whereas Mr. Jameson looks like a human being, except not really. If you push it all the way down, they have no neck, which is a little weird, so I like to have it up slightly a bit. It does kind of give the illusion that he has a bit of a neck here. The head looks fine. I mean, it's not the best, it's not the worst. The hair is sculpted kind of decent. The paint apps are pretty clean as well, but his eyes look kind of soulless and stuff. I mean, you can kind of tell who this is supposed to look like. I mean, it doesn't look like Mr. Jameson from the show, but you can tell it's supposed to look like him, you know? Like, it doesn't look like him, but you can tell who it's supposed to look like. Take that off here. We have the Spider-Man head. I'm pretty sure this is just the regular Spider-Man head sculpt from like the 90s figure wave. They just modified it so that it has a hole on his head. Because these original figures, the way they worked was their head had a pin that went into the body, and then that's how you would rotate it. This, on the other hand, they had to make this, you know, more like a modern style head where it has a hole that you peg the ball joint onto. These are pretty tight. I'm surprised that it's been around for almost 3 decades and the neck joint hasn't broken off. That's pretty good. The neck joint is pretty durable. It looks kind of weird. You know, I'm pretty sure as a little kid I could probably convince myself that this works. That, like, I could imagine he puts this on and then it's supposed to be the Spider-Man figure. Now it just looks like Chameleon with a Spider-Man mask, which that's what it is, but it looks cool. The mask web lines are painted really cleanly. They're kind of messed up a little bit on the back. Again, on par with what Hasbro's doing nowadays. The eyes look pretty cool. They look pretty accurate to the 90s animated series. The head sculpt on this definitely does look better than like the Hasbro animated series version they made like last year or whatever. And then we have the Venom head, which this again I think is just so fun fact, ToyBiz, they made a Venom figure in the 90s. It was just Venom and then you had an Eddie Brock head underneath, and you would put a Venom mask, which I'm pretty sure is this exact same mold. The other one I think is just like a squishy, gooey plastic, so you can put it on easier. And this one, I think they just modified it so that it has this ball peg on it instead of having like a big hole to put around the face. So this one sits completely flat on the neck. That looks cool as well. I don't remember if Chameleon ever impersonates Venom in the show. I don't know. I know he does Peter Parker, Mr. Jameson. I know he does like a lot of different people, but I don't remember him doing if he turns into Venom. I don't know, but either way, I think it looks pretty cool. It's pretty cool. This might be my favorite alternate head. The weird thing is here, I don't know why the heads don't go all the way flat onto the body. That's the only weird thing. Oops, had a clear notification there. From eBay saying, hey, item watch reminder. You know, like when you're watching an item and they tell you, hey, you're watching, it's going to end soon. Whatever. So I think out of the alternate heads, Venom is probably my favorite. I'm going to just rank the alternate heads, I guess. I'd say Venom, Spider-Man, then Mr. Jameson. Just because Mr. Jameson looks, I don't know, it looks kind of weird. It's not the best painted head sculpt out of these. Chameleon's also painted pretty good. It looks very accurate to in the show. They even did some very slight, like, dry brushing to the head. Or I don't know if it's dry brushing. They did some shading here. You can see they painted the nostrils a blue color. It looks like he's kind of like eyeliner up there a little bit. The teeth are painted pretty cool. The teeth are actually sculpted details there. You can see. And then the redness is painted kind of weird. It doesn't look like he's wearing lipstick like some Hasbro figures. It just looks like he has like red gums. If you have them, come on. the figure's too short that it doesn't focus to it. You can see right there, it looks like he just has, like, red gums. It doesn't look like he has, like, lipstick or anything, you know? Some figures, they kind of look like they have lipstick. This one looks pretty cool. But yeah, so the alternate heads are cool. I mean, obviously they couldn't give you, like, interchangeable body parts, because if they give you, like, Venom arms and stuff, at that point, they might as well just make you buy a whole Venom figure. You know, that's what I would probably do as a kid. If I had Chameleon and he turns into Spider-Man, I'd be like, you know, boom, he turned into Spider-Man. This would basically just be him in his, like, neutral form, I guess, you know? But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. The gun accessory is cool as well. Most Hasbro figures barely give you accessories. This one has 4 accessories. But as far as articulation goes, you can kind of technically not look up, never mind. I mean, if you take the head off and you put them, like, that looks really weird. Hey, the head's about dislocated as Hasbro's figures are when they do the dumbbell joint. But I guess you can kind of make him look up all the way. Ideally, you're only able to make his head rotate all the way around. His arms rotate all the way around. You get a single bend in the elbow, which is about 90 degrees on both sides. You get a waist swivel. A lot of ToyBiz 90s figures didn't have waist swivels. Some of them did. I guess at this time they wanted to try to hide joints. Like, it's kind of a hidden joint that you couldn't really tell is there. The legs can kick up all the way, pretty much. You can single bend in the elbow or knee. I'm so used to saying double bend in the elbow. That's pretty cool. And then he has peg holes. Do these work on a ToyBiz base? $1 million question is, do I even have any ToyBiz bases? And the answer is yes, I do. Let me try to grab it. Here we go. This is actually a Hasbro re-release, but it's ToyBiz mold, so it will work. And boom, he does not. Never mind. I thought he stuck on it. No, he doesn't. That's unfortunate. He doesn't stick to the base. But just to prove to you that it does work with ToyBiz figures, this is McFarlane Spider-Man or Fearsome Foes, kind of the same thing. Yeah, he sticks on it pretty good. Yes, unfortunately, the peg holes on his feet are ever so slightly too big. If they were like half a millimeter smaller, or maybe even a millimeter smaller, they'd probably fit. But that's pretty cool. And the accessories you get are also pretty cool as well. I'm probably most times going to display him just with his gun and his regular head, just because I feel like that looks the coolest, you know. It's really cool to have this figure. And like I said, I would have got it a lot sooner, like on eBay, if people weren't selling it for like $30. The cheapest I've seen it was like $10, but you didn't get the gun, you got just his head. I saw someone selling it for like $5, but all you got was just the Venom head, nothing else, which that kind of sucks. You know, I would totally pay, like, I got this at Goodwill for like $4. It's a thrift store in the U.S. A bag with a bunch of other stuff, but for $4 to get this guy with all of his stuff is already a good deal on its own. So yeah, I'm pretty glad that I got this figure. It's pretty simple. I also didn't mention it, I think I might have, that he's very glossy, very plasticky looking, which, when it comes to Hasbro, I always crap all over Hasbro for doing that. But, I mean, that's justified. Those are like almost collector-grade items. This was meant to be just a dumb kid's toy, so it looking plasticky is fine. What I was thinking of doing was, to this and also the Tombstone figure, and pretty much every 90s ToyBiz figure I have, of painting over it using some finisher or some sealer, so that way, for example, I got like this is like a matte sealer. So basically just paint it over a figure, and it keeps the paint on it from rubbing off and stuff, or just paint it on anything, or you can make it glossy or make it matte, you know, up to you. So I was thinking of doing that, painting like gloss or matte over top of this in order to sort of preserve the paint so no more paint comes off and stuff. That way it'll look a little bit better, you know. But either way, that's all for this video. Let me know think about this figure, and I will see you guys in the next review. Wow.